Top of the morning. It's Friday, 7 a.m. Could not be more pumped to be with you today, right now on Winning in the Morning. Getting yourself lined up, motivated, ready to rock today. Get out and do the goodness of what you were made to do. We got 1 minute. We are live with one of my great friends, the man himself. I kid you not, the man himself. It is Tito Goose is with us, CEO, founder of Ready, Set, Takeoff. I kid you not. This guy, not only mighty man of God, not only is he a father to many, many children, not only is this guy have the most just driven and motivated attitude. I'm telling you, literally could not be more excited to have my friend with us. You got 1 minute until we're live right here, Winning in the Morning. Make sure you click share. For anybody who needs a little bit of encouragement this morning, I'm telling you, it's going to be worth it. You don't want to miss it. Again, 54 seconds. Grab your cup of joe, grab your cup of coffee. Grab, whatever you need to grab. Tell the kids to hang on a second, because mommy and dad got some learning to do today. 30 seconds. $20 seconds. There he is. There's the man. There's the myth. There's the legend. Bringing knowledge this morning. Get yourself ready. Could not be more pumped to be with you right now, this morning. Winning in the Morning, Kinsley Jordan, your winning coach, bringing you the encouragement that you have been hoping for, that you have been looking for, that you have been asking for, that you have been needing. I tell you what, I love Friday mornings. I love 7 a.m. I love being with you. There's just nothing better. But you know what? There actually is something better today, I'll tell you. Is my friend. That we're continuing part 2 of Know Your Value, because this is something that we just don't get. This is something we forget about. This is something we miss, honestly, on the day-to-day. Then I got one of my best friends here to be able to help talk about it today, because, listen, there's something important to realize, that you are made for so much more than you even give yourself the opportunity to realize. Without further ado, I tell you what, I got to welcome this mighty, awesome brother of just awesomeness, Tito Goose.
What's
founder,
going
CEO,
on?
Ready, Set, Takeoff. Dude, I just, gosh darn it, man. Sometimes I get so jazzed at the thought of what is coming up and the thought of the conversation that's about to ensue. I'm telling you, last night, y'all don't realize, we were talking, it was like 10 o'clock or something like that, 10:30, just catching up, getting prepped for the show, just talking about, hey man, like what are some things God's been showing us of what it means to know your value and what it means to do it. It was so cool, because afterwards, Tito texted me, he was like, hey man, my kids are saying they love this. Just they love the conversation. And I hope you, as the listener, as the viewer, love the conversation today too. I really do, because you need to know the value that you have in your skill, in your talent, in your ability. Tito, buddy, listen, you've been a man who has worn many hats, been many places, run many businesses, done many things, but this is a near and dear topic to your heart.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate, first of all, thanks for letting me be on here, man. What an incredible thing that you're doing.
Dude, thanks for being here. Why are you thinking
I don't know
about
how you do it, man. How are you so fired up in the morning, man? I need a little bit of that, man.
I talk to you. I talk to you in the morning.
Yeah.
I talk to you for 10 minutes prior to this. I was like, oh, it's too good. I can't. You get in the
Give
work.
me some of that, dude. I need whatever you're drinking, dude. Yeah.
I hit a right across. There you go. Take it.
Listen, man, I just got to preface something by saying, look, if you see some kid just run right by me, man, he's just 1 of 9, man. Don't worry about it.
This is the thing. I didn't want to misspeak, because I knew recently you guys added here in the last couple of years, added unto the family. But 9, you have an 8-man football team and a coach as well.
That's it. There you go. You got to know your value, man.
You do. You do. You do. Oh my gosh, dude, it's so incredibly good. So incredibly good. So you know, we're picking up part two. One of my friends was on, Andrew Caprio. He's an innovation strategist with me for Air Force stuff, but also, you know, his perspective. He's been in so many different areas across multiple different organizations, and you guys remind me so much of each other, because when it really comes down to it, the heart of us being able to grow as an individual really comes down to us knowing what's inside. I mean, this morning, if we're talking about winning in the morning, I think there's something that we really have to realize, and it's that how you frame yourself of the value that you have when you start off in the day is what you will walk in the rest of the day. It literally sets the course for the rest of the day. And I was talking to Hadley this last week, because, you know, she's 8 years old. She's awesome. She's every ounce of just fire and goodness that is in Brooke and I, and every ounce of confidence that is there too, in the highlights and the lowlights. Hey, Janice, good morning. So good to see you, Janice from Katy, Texas. Hey, so great to see you. You know, but one of the things that even Hadley, I mean, Brooke and I are not shy of who we are. I mean, we're not. I'll just say that. But one of the things that I noticed with Hadley is that even though she has these parents that are pretty confident in who we are and pretty confident in what God has placed in us, she still has this belief that her value sometimes is not what God says about her, but instead it's what other people say about her. And I think it's so interesting, man. I want to hand it over to you of talking about why sometimes we get the value of who we actually are. And what I mean by value is like our self-worth, our self-attitude, of what we think we're capable of who we actually are, of how is it that we get this wrong? How is it that we get this wrong sometimes?
You know, that's a great question, man, and I love that you're talking about this. You know, for me, in the job that I do, man, you know, I work with pilots almost every day, and what's a funny thing that I've noticed, you know, we do personality test type preparation, and I've worked with a ton of fighter pilots myself, and the weirdest thing is that I've noticed with specific tests, fighter pilots tend to do the worst. And you're asking the question, why is it that some people don't have that real good understanding of what their value is? And I think it depends on what you allow your external factors to be, right?
Yeah.
What are you looking at? There's certain people that look at other people who may be a little bit better than them in certain areas, and they could never see themselves as being that good, right? And there's certain tests. It's the weirdest thing, man. Like fighter pilots, out of all pilots, tend to do the worst on certain tests, personality tests, and it's because they naturally, because of their environment, they're naturally tend to judge themselves extremely hard,
Really?
it does something to your confidence. I don't know what it is, man, but we see the statistics of you know, whether, you know, they're confident in who they are internally, and their abilities. And I think when we tend to look at other people who we think are better, and then we gauge our abilities based off of, hey, I'm good, but somebody's better, then we tend to really lose the appreciation for understanding who we are and what we bring, because we're always looking at other people and
Yeah.
judging ourselves. Truly, our value comes from within, like you're saying, man. And I think unless you have a really good understanding of what that base is, and for me, as a man of faith, you know, my standard is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's who it is. And when I look at him, my goal and my desire is to be like him.
I got something for that. I got something for that. Yes. 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 Can I get a yes and amen to that? 100%, dude, 100%. Got no shame in it. Okay, continue.
So if for me, you know, as long as I set that standard within, then I've got a base to go from, and I'm not looking at other people and trying to gauge who I am.
Right.
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 And like I said, going back to that community that we work with, and we see how they perform on certain tests, it's funny because it's highly competitive, and they're taught to really kind of judge themselves. Extremely difficult, of course, because of the type of work that they do. But even in those environments, if you fail to really understand who you are and your identity, you could lose. You could lose the confidence and the value in who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing in the world. Everybody would think that these fighter pilots are the most confident. But according to the personality test and what we see, they tend to do the worst.
Wow.
And it has to do with the way that their environment, the way that they look at themselves, and just the nature of what they do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy to be outwardly confident, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Outwardly confident, but internally lack that type of confidence that truly is going to drive the performance, or just the internal desire and knowledge of knowing that I can do anything I put my hands on, and feel good about that.
Yeah. You know, in case you don't know, so founder and CEO of Ready Set Takeoff. So tell us about what that is and why this interaction with fighter pilots, because a lot of people are like, man, I've never met a fighter pilot before. I saw one at an air show one time, but what you're with pilots all the time because you're prepping them
Right.
to be able to make this transition most of the time from the military or regionals over to the mainstream airlines, American, United, Delta. And right now, people may not know, but there's a massive pilot shortage in the sense of these major airlines are trying to secure themselves a workforce for the foreseeable future. And of course, COVID and everything goes into it. So you have these massive transitions of people saying, hey, I'm going to make my way over to the airlines to be able to do it. And you're helping, coaching people to make this transition. What is you talk about this disparity between that kind of value system and that idea. Coral Stadler says, yeah, 100% agree with you, Tito. But you talk about this disparity between why is it? Most of the time a fighter pilot, they've served at least 10 years, at least 12 years actually in the military. By the time they've commissioned, they've gone through pilot training, and then they've met their pilot training commitment. So why is that? Why is that? You talk about, yes, there's this disparity between
Yeah.
that value, that self-value, but why is
You
that?
know, I don't know, man. And to be honest with you, this isn't a bash on the fighter pilot community. It's just something
Right,
that
not
really
at
kind
all.
of came to mind when I mean, it was one of the most surprising things I've dealt with in terms of what we do.
Yeah,
And just to kind of give, everybody, an idea of what we do is ultimately we prepare people to land the jobs of their dream.
right,
When people come to our company, they're looking to fly for companies like FedEx, Delta, UPS, or one of those companies, and it's one of the most competitive things or type of job interviews to go through. And so, what we do is we sit down and we help them kind of recage their mentality, their mindset, so that when they do go into this interview process, that they absolutely have the ability to walk out without a doubt that they are going to land the job of their dreams. Unlike some of the industries out there, if you become an accountant, there's probably 10,000, 20,000 firms that you would probably want to work for. But when you become an airline pilot, there's probably there's only 4 or 5 places that you would want to end up. And if you think about um, uh, how competitive that is, right? You think
right.
about if you don't get that one job, you've only got 3 left. Or if I know people that you know they didn't get 4 of the jobs that they were interviewing with, right?
Wow.
And all it takes is one interview that you don't get the job to really kind of do something to your confidence,
Yeah,
right? And then you
yeah,
start questioning, really, who am I, or what's wrong with me, or
yeah,
whatever the situation is, right? And one of the things I try to really teach people at the end of the day, yes, these are, if somebody lands a job with a company like FedEx, you're talking about millions and millions of dollars of revenue lifetime. The pressure's high, right? Because there's
yeah.
only one FedEx, there's only one UPS, and these are the top companies in the world, right?
Right, right.
So the pressure is pretty high. You go away to interview, your family says goodbye, you jump on an airplane, and when you come back home, they're hoping you've got the prize and you're going to show up to your door. And it's like, I didn't get it. Think
Yeah,
about that pressure, right?
yeah,
Mama and the kids are waiting for daddy to come home with a new job, a new life. I often equate it with, for these pilots that are interviewing for the job of their dreams for Delta, United, they let them know at first, hey, guess what? You got an interview. They go from it being excited to extremely anxious
yeah,
because what if I don't get it? And then they carry the burden for 30 days or however long it is, right? Because they've got to prepare for this.
yeah,
And I often say, you know what? Being a man who's been through 9 different births of their children, I equate it to, you know, um,
yeah,
having a baby, right? You find out you're pregnant, you're pretty excited. You've got this new life that you're dreaming about,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then so you're anxious too for some people, but you're excited. And at the end of the interview, um, you want to share this new life with this baby that you've been waiting for. Same thing
Yeah.
for an interview, man. For these people, they've got this new life. They're already thinking, as a XYZ pilot, this is how we're going to live. This is where we're going to be. And some of these individuals end up coming home empty-handed,
Wow.
and that's tough. It's
Yeah.
very tough, right?
Yeah.
Now, the problem is if you don't know your value going into this, who you are, and truly what you have the capacity of providing, then you're going to fail to execute at a level that is going to make you successful and be as confident as you deserve to be coming into this interview, right?
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
and I like to tell people at the end of the day, you know what? It doesn't matter if it's an airline interview. It doesn't matter if it's an interview to become, a lawyer at some firm or wherever it's at. At the end of the day, you are so much greater than whatever job or whatever position you're doing.
Oh man, dude,
You're
that
you're,
right
you're so
there.
much bigger than that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if,
That.
if if you don't learn to to compartmentalize your identity with the thing that you do,
Yeah.
you're already setting yourself up for a situation that's not going to be good,
Yeah. Yeah. There's
right?
I'm gonna while we're talking about it, I'm gonna actually pull it up because it's one of those things that sometimes I'm a little bit nervous what's about to come out of my mouth because it could probably get me in trouble. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that my call sign is trigger because I can put out there, hey, this is a trigger warning. This
Yeah.
is just to warn you, I'm about to say this thing. But honestly, yeah, as I'm pulling this up, I'll tell you. Listen, if you want to call us, you want to be live with us right now, literally call 580-366-1484. It's only while we're live. So if you're watching this later, sorry, you can call me, but I'm not going to answer because it's not the show. It's not the show line. But call us right now if you want to be live. If you got something to share, and you're saying, listen, I'm really struggling with this. We're here to be able to help you. We're here to be able to talk you through. Be bold. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. The bold will take hold of the kingdom of God. So you might as well do it. But while I'm pulling this up, yeah, you didn't know you were getting a verse today, did you? But as I'm pulling this up, if I can find it, it was this idea, this attitude of talking about a lot of times we subscribe to this ideology, this idea that, man, I'm really important to the organization. I'm really important to, they need me, and I got a really great value to it. And here's my post. I said, trigger warning. Here it is on LinkedIn if you want it. But it said trigger warning. Fiction. The organization you work for is dependent upon your amazing skill, talent to thrive, and truly cherishes your skills, talents, gifts, anointing, and passion and purpose. Fact. Here's the hard fact. The systemic machine that you work for will replace you and forget about you faster than you are willing to admit and believe. The only reason why this isn't true is if you are self-employed and you work with your family and that's it. Because if you don't show up and you don't exist, then money's not on the table. Bread's not on the table, right? But I went on. It said, gosh, Kinsley, way to cheer me up this morning, as I'm sure what you're probably thinking right now. This is not because I don't genuinely care about you. It's because we do care about you that we say this. We've seen it way too many times. And Tito, tell me if this is true. I've seen it way too many times. People suddenly have a revelation, this revelation after being frustrated, hurt, and abused at a place that they poured personal sweat equity into. And they've trusted this organization for way too long. They've misprioritized and misidentified their own personal value and it's one of the greatest mistakes that we can ever make. If you find your value, this is literally what you just said. If you find your value in the position you hold, listen up, military people, in the rank that you have, or the organization that you work for, you have built your house of self-worth and belief upon a cracked, faulty, corroded foundation that will collapse and leave you reeling to find your value as a person when and if that ever should end. It is time that we truly start asking the hard question and to learn the true irreplaceable value that only you bring to the world. Here's the deal. We're both mighty men of God. I say mighty men of God because we are. Like, we know who we are. We know what we've been made. We're constantly growing. He's constantly showing us something new. But the reality is, I got no shame in knowing He's made me not to be this passive, tolerant person. I got no tolerance. We know the goodness of God in our heart. We know who He is. But we also know the positions that we hold and where we're at. And the reality is that we have a responsibility to be leaders in our home to our families. I've got responsibilities. I'm not the most perfect dad in the world. the perfect husband in the world, but gosh darn it, I'm going to wake up every day and do the best I can every single day. I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow. And this is the thing that is so critically important is if you don't realize what your true irreplaceable value is, not what the value somebody else projects upon you,
Right.
not the value that they say they need in you in a position, not the value that they have made you believe because they've continued pushing you and growing you corporately and growing you, and you've gotten to the next rank and you've gotten to the next position. Those are all false. Those are all false idols and false hopes. The reality is, what are the innate value characteristics, gifts that you, the talents that only you have, that nobody else has? And I've said this, Tito, and people are like, Kinsley, that's too far-fetched. You're telling me nobody else has the same talent and skill? Yeah, well, I'm actually not telling you that. Science is telling you that. You know why? Because you're the only one with your DNA. If that wasn't true, they wouldn't look for fingerprints on a crime scene to track you down.
Right.
You're one of a kind. You're an original. Stop trying to be a duplicate of somebody else's skill, talent, and ability. Like, why would we waste our time doing that? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Tito, back over to you.
No, man. I mean, you're absolutely right. Right. And it's the difference between, and I know I keep going back to pilots, man, but it's the difference between showing up to an interview as a beggar versus somebody who really knows that, I belong here. And if you can't see that within me, then this is probably not the right place for me. Right.
Right.
And I often tell people that, after all the hard work and sacrifice that you've put into your career and to get into where you're at here today, not that you would ever do this. And in the coaching sessions, I say this, look, man, if you don't have the right mentality going into this, we can't even start to prepare for this interview.
Yeah.
Because you truly need to know who you are first.
Yeah.
And why you truly deserve to be there. Otherwise, you're going to go into this interview with a defensive posture, trying to defend why you belong somewhere.
Right.
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 Versus going in there. And I say, look, not that you would ever do this, but what the real question you should be asking at the interview is, why should I pick you?
Right.
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 After all the sacrifice, after everything I put into this, and look, I've got other choices.
Yeah.
Why do you belong? Why do you deserve to be the one that I say I'm going to spend the rest of my career with?
Right.
We would never do that, but it's the difference in mentality.
Yeah. Well, it's a limiting belief. You think that you think less of yourself. I mean, Coral Stadler, she just threw this in the comments. It's awesome. I poured my everything into a job. Coral, thanks for throwing your comments. By the way, wherever you're watching this, whether it's now or later, please let us know. We want to see in the comments. We love interacting with you. Let us know if you've had experience with this. Again, you can call us. I'll throw the phone number back up there. But Coral just said, I poured my everything into a job just to have them treat me poorly. After I started working with you, not only did my perspective change, working with you. Coral, throw in the chat. Are you talking about the Winning Network? Are you talking about us? If you don't mind clarifying, working with you, my perspective changed. I started getting recruited for other positions, and I learned my worth. Oh my gosh, yes, Coral, that's awesome. That's awesome. But it is that perspective shift of I'm not less than. I am what God has called me to be, or I am the value that I bring. I have talents, skills, and abilities that other people don't have.
Yeah. Well, think about it this way, right? I don't mean to cut you off, right?
Yeah,
Let's say
please.
you were the person, if you were the person doing the interview, right? And the first person comes in and they're sitting here begging to be with you.
Yeah.
And the second person just takes a moment to look at you with just complete clarity, right? Just stares you in the eye and they look at you and pretty much say, you know what? I got to figure out whether or not you're the right person that I need to bring all these talents and all these things, because it doesn't matter where I go. I know I'm going to make a huge impact. I've got to really figure this out for myself first. But I appreciate the interview that we're having today. Would that not set you back just for a second?
Yeah.
If you compare the two?
Yeah.
Right.
Why would that set you back? I want to state the obvious here, because sometimes we miss it. Why would that set you back?
Because one person obviously one person has that level of confidence in knowing who they are, and they know the value that they can bring.
Right.
And for me, there's a huge difference there, because one of them has this attitude of I need you. The reality is I need them more than they probably need me,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the obvious difference is the level of confidence, and I want that person who is questioning whether or not we're the place for them because they know intrinsically the value that they bring, and we're the ones that need them.
Yeah. 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 So what would you say to somebody who's listening to this, whether it's watching later with Ready Set Takeoff on your channel, whether it's somebody watching now, whether it's a single mom getting ready, kids are screaming in the background, she's got to listen on the phone, or a dad going to work, or a student going to school. What would you say to somebody who is going to their normal everyday life right now? What would you say to them about this perspective shift, and what step they can take to start getting themselves out of the rut of believing that their value is in what others say about them, in where others place them, in where others say that they are welcome? What would you say to that? Because that's hard, man. We've spent our entire lives being told where we fit. This is one of the things, I'll say this real quick. This is one of the things that led me away from church several times. I'm a worship pastor. I have multiple different roles and responsibilities. This is one of the things that led me away from my Savior, my relationship, is because I started experiencing a church that said, well, in order for you to fit, you need to do this. I experienced
Right.
this in a job. I experienced it in a broken relationship before I met my beautiful, amazing bride that I don't even know how I'm married to her, because I guess she took pity upon me. but you experience these in all of these different areas. For me, the church was one of the places where I was like, it was religion. It wasn't relationship. That was the shift. But what would you say to somebody who's experiencing this in multiple different areas of their life and they think it's normal?
Yeah, well, I think for many people, it's a lifelong battle, right? It's an identity crisis,
Mm.
is what it comes down to.
Dude,
But
oh my gosh. I'm about to get,
until we truly come to the place where we just turn off the noise, right?
yeah,
And we most of all we quit looking at other people in order to discover our self-worth
yeah,
and truly value the gifts and the talents that God Himself, the Creator, has given us,
huh?
and appreciate it, and give thanks for what we have, and take advantage of what He's given us.
Yeah,
We're going to keep spinning our wheels and finding ourselves in place of depression, doubt, and things that are obviously not of God, because we have failed to, first of all, be thankful and rejoice in the things that we do have,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And truly, it starts from appreciating, um, from within, the things that He has given us, in order to truly be able to take those things, run, and be the person that we've been called to be, man.
yeah,
And so I think until we do that, we're going to struggle, right? We're going to have a difficult time trying to do those things and reach the level of success that we've been dreaming about.
yeah,
And it's, unfortunately, you got social media, you've got all these external influences, all those things that are working against us. And as long as we look at other people and other things in order to determine our value, we're going to fail to really appreciate who we are.
yeah, yeah. When you say that, what is a tangible step you could give somebody right now? What is a tangible step they could take right now that would help to break them out of this? Because I'm all about, there's times I've known that I need to stop doing something. There's times that I know I need to get back to the gym. There's times that I know I need to change my oil because it says I need an oil change, and it said that for like 60 miles. I should probably do that. There's times I know things, but that doesn't change my actions. It doesn't change my direction. It hasn't changed innately what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. What is an action step? What is it? Something they say, listen, I'm going to do this today. I was listening to Winning in the Morning, and I am a winner, and I do have value, and it's not what other people say about me. It's what God says about me. But how do we get to the place where we, one, know it, and two, we're willing to walk it out? How do I break out of that? What is something that you'd say right now, if you do this, literally right now as you're listening this morning, or if you're watching this later, if you will stop and do this immediately after you are done listening to this, what is that? What is that thing?
There's a lot of steps, man. That's the problem here, man. We could talk about this forever, right? But I think one easy step, man, it's just so easy, man, and it's very, and it's just learn how to be thankful, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Instead of complaining, it's very easy, man. Be thankful for those things that you do have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And appreciate those things that you have overlooked that are truly you know what I mean. Just have a heart of thanksgiving. I know
Yeah.
it's too simple to say that, right? It's too simple to say that. But when you truly begin to be thankful for the things that you do have, and for where you're at,
Yeah.
the truth is you could begin to change the mentality of and even the situation. And I know that that's a generic thing, right? But you know what? I love the scripture that says that don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Right.
And that
Right.
that step truly is, you know what? I am no longer going to think like the world. I am no longer going to subject myself to the things that people say or think, and I'm going to begin to change my thought process so that I could begin to experience life differently.
Right.
And that for me starts with, you know what, when I start looking at things and I'm upset, or things aren't going well, the moment I shift and say, you know what, I am thankful for the fact that, you know what, I'm not sick right now. I'm not sick. Look at all the people who are sick, right?
Dude.
I am so thankful that, you know what, that I am able to pay my bill, or whatever the situation is. I am so thankful that my kids are sleeping and nobody is missing.
Yeah.
And if you've got 9 kids, that's a lot to be thankful for, right? Everybody's in bed.
I
I didn't head off to the ER today, right? Because that could happen 2 or 3 times a day when you got 9 kids, right? I've got one kid in a foot
oh,
cast, and she's just had surgery on her elbow, and my other kid just broke his back. I
oh
mean, and seriously, my son Elijah's in a
whoa.
in a in a body kind of cast because he almost killed himself in a car accident, right?
Oh my
And so
gosh.
truly, and so two of them are like that at the same time. But for me, the easy step is just to take a moment and say, life is just, it's just too easy. There's a lot to be frustrated about.
Yeah.
But if I could just take a moment to say, you know what, God, thank you for the things that I have taken for granted for so long,
Yeah.
and I am able to take those things and do something with it, and I begin to appreciate and compartmentalize the things that really matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, first, one off, we'll absolutely be praying for your son and your daughter. Heal and whole in Jesus' name. That's huge. That's not a light thing. Thanks for sharing that, because that's a lot of times I think people look at people like you and people like me and other people that are doing things like we know our value, we know what we're going after, and they say, man, they all got it together. No, I don't have everything together at all, man. Like there's absolutely times where things aren't together, but that's the importance of having to have a foundation that truly is founded on the real value, the real truth of what the Creator says about you. And this is the one thing, with the Winning Network, when we're talking to clients, when we're talking to individuals, tell them, they said, wow, I saw that you're a worship pastor. I saw that you're a pastor, and I'm not religious. That's fine. It doesn't matter. As long as you can acknowledge that you did not will yourself into existence, as long as you can acknowledge that you did not birth yourself out of nothing, then we have common ground to work with.
Sure.
As long as you believe and know that you did not have an epiphany and say, I'm gonna create flesh and my mindset, and I'm gonna put it all together in a body, and I'm gonna throw it down on earth. As long as you can acknowledge that, then we have somewhere to work from, because that means that you have gifts, talents, abilities, anointings, a calling on your life that you didn't put there, that is specific to you. It didn't matter to me, as long as we can agree upon that, and we can get to the place where you realize that you are great. The thing is, here's the bottom line question for me, Tito, is how long will you spend trying to replicate someone else's success that they found because they knew who they were?
Right.
How long will you keep on trying to start their business? How long will you keep on trying to have their marriage? How long will you keep on trying to be them as a parent? It's great to be able to learn lessons and competencies and capabilities from people, but for crying out loud, don't try to be them, because you're not them. You're you. And until you realize who you are and the power of who you are, you're going to keep on living a fraud life, because you're an original trying to act like a copy, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't
Right.
work. And I'm reminded of this verse that comes to mind. It's 1 Thessalonians 5:23 through 24. This is something our church has been on. It says, may God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it. And here's the reason why I bring this up, is I was really taken back. I was really caught off guard when I read 24, of how 24 looks back at 23. Because what it says is this: your creator is faithful, and the things that he promised that he was going to do in you, he will do it. The real question is, will you? The real question is, will you take the time to figure out what you're passionate about? Will you take the time to realize that you're more than just what your job says you are? Will you take the time to dig deep and find out how you are gifted and how you're talented and what you have been called to? Will you do it? Because here's the thing. In a culture, in a society that wants to place blame on everyone else and wants to be the victim of every circumstance, you can do that, and you will never get to the place that you were literally placed on this earth to do if the blame is always somebody else's, if you are always the victim of a circumstance. You have to be willing to own your mistakes and what you have to work on and be the owner of that. And this is why I will bring it full circle, man. When you talk to people in your interview, how many times do you have to get them to the place to realize, listen, I'm not the one going into the interview. You are.
Right.
I'm not the one getting hired. You are.
Right.
I can give you the best advice I can give. I can give you the talking points that they care about. I can give you the things that they're going to hone in on. But the reality is, you're the one that's going to be sitting before the 3 or 4 people on that panel, not me.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I want to just talk about real quick that you mentioned is just this whole idea that, you've got to do it yourself, but also regardless of what your past has been like, right? Think about that. So many times your identity is tied up in your past,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
and what you did wrong, and what how you failed here, or maybe you got a DUI. We've got clients who have had DUIs that are now trying to get the job of their dream, and their whole mentality. I had a client that's the first session of our uh, coaching. The
Yeah.
first thing that came out of their mouth was, if I don't get the job, can I get a refund? Instead of, hey, my name is such and such. That was the first thing they said. If I don't get the job, can I get a refund? And it really threw me back. It did. I'm thinking, wait a second, like I don't even know if we're the right fit. I
Yeah.
don't know that we could work together, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're coming into this it's not because you're asking for a refund, but
Yeah.
it's because you don't have the capacity at the moment to really see beyond your mistakes
Yeah.
or whatever is holding you back.
Wow.
Well, I didn't even know that the DUI was an issue, but the fact that they asked that, I was already ready to stop working with them, right?
Wow.
Because you're going to it's difficult to kind of overcome those type of mentalities.
Yeah.
But when I start asking questions, it's because they had a DUI in their background. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, now I realize why you're already looking at yourself in this light and you feel like you're already going to fail, right?
Wow.
This is exactly why you have that mentality about yourself, right? But what I love, you talked about that victim mentality, right? About, the past and all that other stuff. What I love about for me, and where I find my value in my faith, is that the word of God says that, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that is a big deal, right? Because for me, it's not some things. It's not. So what that means is that if I truly believe what I believe, I can no longer walk around with a victim mentality
Yeah. Yeah.
and say that this is my belief system.
Yeah.
Because if I'm blaming things that happened, or circumstances or situations, and I don't see those as obstacles that I can overcome, then truly that scripture isn't fully what it means to me,
Wow. Oh my gosh, dude.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can no longer claim to be a victim, no matter what people have done to you or what circumstances you've been through, whether you've been fired, or you've been through situations that were just not, just you could not imagine. And if you carry that burden with you instead of seeing it like an overcomer, it is going to hold you back, and it's going to continue to create damage in your life far after it's taken place, right?
Man.
And
Yeah.
that is why it's so important to truly understand that I can do all things no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what happened, no matter what the situation, no matter what the loss is, because of who he is in me.
Yeah, dude.
And I can't ever walk around like a victim anymore.
Yeah,
Because if I do, then I truly don't believe what the scriptures tell me.
that's right. That's right. That's right. And I would say even more, one more step. Let's take even one more step past that. It's not even that I just don't believe it. It's that, to me, sometimes we don't actually understand. We don't actually realize that we don't understand what he's saying about us. You know, one of the things that I've mentioned and started encouraging people is, hey, do you know what God says about you? Do you know the I ams? Do you know? And again, if you're not a believer, if you say, listen, I don't believe in God, I'm agnostic, I'm atheist, whatever it is, for you, this boils down to very much the same thing. Do you what is it that you say when you look at yourself? What is it that you say about yourself? For me as a believer, it's what God says about me. That is who defines me. He is my creator. He is the one that has given me life. He is the one that has set me apart. He's the one that's paid for my sin. He's the one that has looked at all of the madness, chaos of my life and says, you know what, Kinsley, you are still worth it. And I sent my son to die on the cross for you so that you could live with me yet again. If that's not your belief, my question would be to you of, what is it, if you don't have that aspect or that view, what is it that you say about yourself? Are you constantly talking down upon yourself? Because here's the deal. People say, Kinsley, why do you even acknowledge, why do you even address that? I address it because there are people, just because they don't believe like I believe doesn't mean they're not valued, because my belief is they were made for a purpose. And you know what? Whether you believe in God now or whether you acknowledge him, we still believe in you as a person. Like, he's still giving you a gift. Whether you acknowledge him doesn't change his existence. It just changes our perspective of what we think. And the question to me is do you really understand who you are? Are the things that you're saying about yourself negative? You know, sometimes when my kids, I hear them saying things of, you know, I'll never be able to do that, or I just can't do this, or I just can't accomplish this, or I just can't. And I have to stop them right there and say, no. What you're saying is you're limiting any possibility of you being able to do that, because you're telling yourself you can't do it, and you have not even given yourself a chance to try. Like, here's the deal. Give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, give it a shot again. Dad, I will never chastise you for failing, ever. Dad, I've failed at so many things in my life. You know what? I actually love failure. I do, for the reason that it teaches me where my boundary was, or a misconception that I had, and it teaches me to be able to move forward. Tito, sometimes to me, it's that we actually don't even understand what it means, what our value means. We don't even understand what has been spoken about us. Sometimes we don't even understand that. So for that action point, brother, because, oh my gosh, it's been so good. It's been so much fun with you. I'm getting ready to pull up your website here in a second, but as I'm doing this, what is the one thing that you would say, listen, I want you to know this today, moving forward, whether it's talking to the people who, you know, in your business that are going to be talking to you later today, or on a webinar or something with you later, or talking in an interview, or whether it's somebody who's watching on the Winning Network side, what is it that you would want somebody to know right now as we're talking about knowing the importance of your value? What is that?
Man, I would say that knowing your value and who you are is the foundation to your success. I mean, point blank. It is truly what is going to provide you with the ability to have the convictions that are going to drive the level of success that you're hoping for, period. And if you don't know who you are and your value system and what you have the ability to bring to any organization or anything that you're a part of, then how are you going to convince others that you're worth being there?
Wow.
If you truly don't understand these things for yourself, how are you going to be able to walk into a meeting or a sales call or, you know, an interview and be able to convince others?
Right.
Think about that. If
Right.
you're not convinced fully of yourself, who you are, and the value that you bring, others aren't going to believe it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
So it starts with truly understanding, you know, your intrinsic value, and as a leader, as a you know, as an individual in any organization, and naturally, when you have that level of confidence, people are going to want to be a part of whatever you're a part of.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, Tito, it's this has been more fun than probably we should be allowed to have together. I feel like I'm just gonna say it now. I'm gonna say I don't think this is the only time Tito's gonna be with us right here on Winning in the Morning. I don't think so. I'm gonna say no. This is not gonna be the last time. whether I'm declaring it in faith or whether it actually is, man. It has been a blast to have you with us this morning. Hey, if you are wherever you're watching this from, if you have not taken the time to be able to do this, and you're considering going to the airlines, or you're wanting to be able to start and dive into it, you can go to literally Ready Set Takeoff. It's awesome. ReadySetTakeoff.com. There's the website right there. That's your chance. If you know somebody who is wanting to be able to prepare for the airlines, there is no better company. There is no better place. There is no better person to be able to talk to prepare you for what is to come. Because as you can tell, even from this discussion over the last 45 minutes, this is the guy to be able to help you. Him and his team are the people to be able to help you get there through the experience. We didn't even have a chance to be able to talk about. We'll talk about that another morning. We didn't even have a chance to talk about what led to you starting this company, because it was birthed out of a decision of having to say, I know who I am. And this is worth it, and helping people is worth it, and I'm going to do it and step out and do it. So, Tito, what's the best way for people to be able to get in contact with you, or to be able to even just follow along with you? Because, man, having you in my life has been phenomenal. It's been game-changing. It's been life-changing because you bring the wins every single day. But how can we follow along with you? How can we get involved? And what's the best way to be able to reach out to Ready, Set, Takeoff if they're interested or know somebody who's interested?
They could just go to the website, ReadySetTakeoff.com, and then I'm on Facebook as well. I don't have Twitter or anything like that, but just reach out. That's the website, and I'd be more than happy to help you in any way that I can, even if it's not about the airlines. I mean, it's truly about helping you get set up with success, and so, Kinsley, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of this, man.
My gosh, man, it has been so incredibly fun. I got a big shout out to Eric Williams, world famous, man. He was one of the guys who was in my original squadron, multiple deployments and times together. Good to see you, brother. Listen, wherever you're watching from, whatever's going on, this has been Tito. First off, thank you so incredibly much for joining us. I cannot tell you thank you enough for your friendship, for your mentorship, for your guidance, and, man, just speaking the truth every time you show up. So, brother, from Winning in the Morning right here on the Winning Network, I just got to say thank you, to what your team do to be able to help military people make this transition, or regional people make this transition into the majors. And that's one thing we want you to know, regardless. Listen, you have value. You got value, and you need to know it. And you need to know that there is something good brewing in you, in your spirit, in your soul, in your body, just like we were talking about. Tito, brother, can't thank you enough. Love you, man. Thanks so much for being with us.
Take care, man.
Listen, if you have enjoyed being with us right here in Winning in the Morning, I encourage you to subscribe. Wherever you're at, subscribe, watch, follow along, share it with somebody. I hope this encouragement has literally changed your day, changed your mindset, changed your perspective. Because for me, listen, spending this time with you in the morning, it is worth it to pour into you, to invest into you. So right now, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, whatever is taking place, make sure you do exactly what this says, right? If I can figure it out. Right there. Yeah, do that. Subscribe, like, follow. We'll see you later. You have a great day right here from the Winning Network and Winning in the Morning. Kinsley Jordan, your winning coach. See ya.